Ballistic missiles are in the air right now. Multiple launch sites across northwestern Iran are firing. The trails are visible on camera. The interceptors are racing up to meet them over Jordan. And simultaneously, American cruise missiles are hitting targets inside Iran that no previous round of this conflict has touched. This is July 9th, 2026. And what is happening right now is the fiercest single day of fighting this conflict has produced. Let us go through it all. The Iranian counterattack, the American strikes continuing in parallel, the target that just got hit with cruise missiles that changes the entire strategic picture of this war, and the railway bridge that has now been confirmed destroyed, severing the supply line connecting Iran to both Russia and China simultaneously. Start with the Iranian ballistic missile launches, because the footage is extraordinary and the scale is unlike anything Iran has put in the air during this conflict. Ballistic missiles launched from the Arak missile field in Markazi province in northwestern Iran within the last several hours. The footage shows the trails climbing from the launch sites. Multiple missiles airborne simultaneously, heading toward the Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan, the installation jointly operated by American and Royal Jordanian Air Forces. At least 5 ballistic missiles confirmed in that launch sequence, targeting the Jordanian base. Air defense activity is visible in the sky over Jordan as interceptors race to meet the incoming missiles. Smoke plumes from interceptions already confirmed in the footage. Whether all 5 were intercepted, or whether any achieved impact is not yet fully confirmed as this is filmed. Multiple additional ballistic missiles launched from the western Azerbaijan province of Iran, northwest of the previous launch site, adding another vector to the incoming missile threat. Picture that American and Allied air defense systems are managing simultaneously. Warning sirens at Camp Victory near the Baghdad airport, a U.S. position inside Iraq, are active as the Iranian attack campaign expands beyond the Gulf to include American installations across the broader regional footprint. Reports of explosions in the consulate area in Iraq, Kurdish positions reportedly under attack in the same operational window. 8 Iranian missile launchers spotted activated and ready to fire at this hour. Iran is not responding to American strikes with a single retaliatory package, followed by a diplomatic statement. Iran is conducting a sustained multi-wave ballistic missile campaign, targeting every American military position it can reach from Jordan to Iraq to Bahrain simultaneously. The geographic spread of the targets tells you something important about the intent. This is not a focused strike on a specific American capability. This is an attempt to demonstrate that Iranian ballistic missile reach extends across the entire regional American military presence, that no American base in the Middle East is beyond the threat of Iranian attack. The operational reality behind that demonstration is a different story, and we will get to what the intercept data tells us about the actual effectiveness of what Iran is launching. But first, the most important development of July 9th, the one that changes the strategic picture more than any of the ballistic missile launches. American cruise missiles have hit the Bushehr nuclear power plant in southern Iran. Iranian state media confirmed it. The footage shows a massive smoke plume rising from the Bushehr facility. Tomahawk cruise missiles have been reported flying over Iranian skies in the Bushehr region as the strikes on the nuclear facility continue. And American cruise missiles are still flying over Iran at Bushehr as this is filmed. Let that register completely before moving forward. The United States has struck a nuclear facility inside Iran with cruise missiles. Bushehr is not a weapons development site in the category of Fordo or Isfahan, which were struck during Operation Midnight Hammer. It is a nuclear power plant, the largest civilian nuclear infrastructure installation in Iran. Striking it with cruise missiles represents an escalation in targeting that goes beyond the military hardware targets, the radar systems, the anti-ship missile batteries, the IRGC fast attack boats, the command and control nodes that have characterized the previous rounds of American strikes. The targeting of Bushehr with cruise missiles communicates a specific message about what is now within the scope of American strike authorization. If a nuclear power plant is a legitimate target, then the question of what is not a legitimate target has a much shorter answer than it had 48 hours ago. The electrical generation facilities, the desalination plants, the industrial infrastructure that Trump enumerated yesterday as potential targets if the situation required it, the expansion of the target list that the railway bridge strikes signaled in the logistics domain, the Bushehr strike confirms in the infrastructure domain. The Iranian government, watching Tomahawk cruise missiles hit Bushehr from underground bunkers in the Mashhad region, is looking at a targeting list that now includes the facility that supplies a significant portion of southern Iran's electrical power. The message being delivered through the smoke plume rising from Bushehr is not subtle. Now let us talk about the railway bridge, because this is the development that has the most significant long-term strategic consequences of anything that has happened in this conflict, including the Bushehr strike. Iran has admitted that a U.S. strike destroyed a railway bridge used for trade routes connecting Iran with China and Russia. This is not a bridge over a local river carrying domestic freight. This is a segment of the rail line that runs through Turkmenistan. connecting Iran's logistics network to the Russian rail system on one vector and to the Chinese supply network on another. It is the physical infrastructure through which Iran has been receiving the military resupply it needs to sustain this conflict. New air defense components, replacement missile systems, electronic warfare equipment, drone components, the materials that the IRGC needs to continue fighting at the tempo it is currently attempting to sustain. That supply line is now cut. Think about what that means in practical operational terms. Russia can still reach Iran through the Caspian Sea, though that route is slower, lower capacity, and considerably more vulnerable to interdiction than overland rail. China cannot practically fly military supply aircraft into Iran, while American airstrikes are actively hitting targets across Iranian territory. The calculus for a Chinese cargo aircraft attempting to land at an Iranian airport that U.S. strikes have already shown is within the American targeting envelope is not a favorable one for the flight crew or the cargo. China is not going to risk its aircraft and its pilots and its political exposure by flying military resupply into a country where American bombs are actively falling. The rail bridge destruction does not just degrade Iran's current military supply capacity. It severs the most reliable and highest capacity route through which that supply capacity could be replenished at scale. Iran was already burning through its missile inventory at a rate that the previous ceasefire period gave it limited ability to replace. With the primary overland supply route from China now cut, and Russia's Caspian Sea option representing a fraction of the capacity the rail line provided, Iran's missile inventory is now a depleting asset with no efficient replenishment pathway, while the American strikes continue. And the American strikes are continuing. Explosions in Kerman as the strike campaign hits targets well beyond the coastal and maritime focus of the previous packages. Smoke rising over the Bushehr region from multiple impact points, an IRGC facility in Chogakak burning, reports of American strike activity spreading to new provinces and new target categories with each successive wave. 3 IRGC elements confirmed eliminated in the ongoing bombing as of this hour. The systematic targeting of IRGC personnel and command infrastructure that has been a consistent feature of American strike packages throughout this conflict is continuing in parallel with the expansion of the target list into infrastructure and logistics domains. Multiple American early warning aircraft are in the sky over the region simultaneously, providing the surveillance and integration architecture for the ongoing strike campaign, refueling tankers, maintaining continuous operations, keeping American strike aircraft fueled and in the air. The operational tempo of the American side shows no sign of pausing or consolidating before next decision point. American officials told Axios that Washington is prepared for a prolonged conflict, a sustained return to fighting against Iran. That statement, combined with the operational posture visible in the aircraft movements, the carrier group positioning, the cruise missile launches against Bushehr and the railway bridge strikes, indicates that the American decision-making is not organized around a single strike package followed by a diplomatic opening. It is organized around a sustained campaign designed to progressively remove Iranian military capability from the operational picture until the Iranian side's capacity to continue the fight is sufficiently degraded to produce a genuine rather than performative change in behavior. Iran's own behavior on July 9th is simultaneously revealing what it still has and demonstrating how it is choosing to spend what remains. Ballistic missiles at Jordan, Iraq, and Bahrain represent Iran's highest value offensive assets being expended in a single operational day against targets that American and allied air defense systems are intercepting at a significant rate. Every ballistic missile that is intercepted over Jordan or Bahrain is a missile that took months to produce, cannot be replaced through the supply line that was just cut by the railway bridge strike, and produced no operational result for the expenditure. Iran's Iranian F-5 fighters scrambling near Mashhad to try to assert some degree of control over Iranian airspace in the face of the ongoing American strike campaign is perhaps the most visually honest indicator of the capability gap between the two sides in this conflict. An F-5 is a 1960s-era fighter aircraft. Against the F-22 Raptors and F-35s that American forces are operating in this theater, an F-5 has no meaningful combat capability. It is not a response to American airstrikes. It is a visible demonstration that Iran is scrambling assets that cannot affect the outcome of the engagement they have been scrambled to respond to. The oil tanker situation adds an economic dimension to the military picture that Iran's behavior this morning makes visible. Iran has rushed approximately 10 million barrels of oil to sea, clearly attempting to get petroleum assets beyond the reach of American seizure before the naval blockade and tanker interdiction operations resume in full force. 10 million barrels being rushed to sea simultaneously is not a routine commercial operation. It is a panic response from a regime that understands the American decision to seize Iranian oil tankers is imminent and is trying to move as much of its oil revenue capacity as possible before the seizure operations begin. The imagery from Mashhad, where a massive banner reading "We will kill Trump" has been hung publicly in the city, connects directly to the kill list confirmation that has been running as a parallel thread through this entire escalation cycle. The president addressed it again today. He was asked about Air Force One leaving Turkey with journalists required to close their window blinds, an unusual security measure that telegraphed concern about Iranian attempts to target the aircraft. Trump confirmed he understood why the measure was taken. He confirmed that the Iranian threat to his personal safety is real and ongoing. He confirmed he is number one on the kill list. He said if he goes, the journalist asking him goes too, a characterization that combined dark humor with the acknowledgement that the threat environment around the American president's travel is currently being treated as a live operational concern by his security detail. The banner in Mashhad and the kill list targeting the President of the United States are being conducted by a regime that is simultaneously watching its nuclear facility get hit with Tomahawk cruise missiles, its railway bridge to China, and Russia destroyed its ballistic missiles, intercepted over Jordan, and its leadership sitting in underground bunkers in the far northeast of the country. The gap between the public posture, the kill list banners, the ballistic missile launches announced as the first stage of crushing responses, and the private reality of evacuation flights with transponders off and underground facility operations is the most accurate measure available of where the Iranian regime actually believes this conflict is going. The Bushehr nuclear strike is the detail that demands the most careful strategic attention going forward, not because of what it destroyed in isolation, but because of what it signals about the targeting authorization that American forces are operating under. Previous rounds of this conflict targeted military hardware. This round has targeted logistics infrastructure, railway bridges, and a nuclear power plant. The progression of target categories with each successive strike package is not random. It reflects a deliberate expansion of what American decision-makers are authorizing in response to Iranian escalation. Iran escalated by attacking commercial shipping. America struck maritime defense infrastructure. Iran continued escalating. America struck logistics infrastructure and railway bridges. Iran launched ballistic missiles at Jordan and Iraq. America struck the Bushehr nuclear facility with cruise missiles. The pattern is a response ladder where each Iranian escalation produces an American strike package that hits a target category the previous package had not yet touched. If that pattern continues, and the operational posture visible in the Mediterranean refueling tanker movements, the carrier group positioning, and the American official statements about preparation for prolonged conflict all suggest it does, the next Iranian escalation produces an American response that hits something that today's package had not yet touched. Trump enumerated those categories yesterday. Electrical generation plants, desalination infrastructure, and Karg Island, where 95% of Iran's oil exports flow, where the USS Abraham Lincoln, with its marine contingent, and the USS Boxer are positioned in the Persian Gulf within striking and assault range. July 9th, 2026. Ballistic missiles are in the air over Jordan, Iraq, and Bahrain. Cruise missiles are hitting the Bushehr nuclear facility. The railway bridge connecting Iran to China and Russia is destroyed. American early warning aircraft and refueling tankers are sustaining continuous operations. 10 million barrels of Iranian oil are being rushed to sea ahead of imminent tanker seizure operations. The kill list banner is hanging in Mashhad. The president has confirmed he is number one on that list, and the Iranian leadership is underground in Mashhad, while announcing crushing first-stage responses from bunkers that the missiles flying toward their nuclear facility were not aimed at. The fiercest day of this conflict is still unfolding as this is filmed. The interception footage over Jordan is still coming in. The cruise missile footage over Bushehr is still emerging. The ballistic missile launches from western Azerbaijan are still being tracked. And the supply line to China and Russia that Iran was counting on to sustain this fight is sitting at the bottom of a crater where a railway bridge used to be.